ready for this?
Mine's got numbers.
All right, just start whenever you're ready. There's John 3.
So, in schools, it is difficult for the staff to meet the needs of each individual kid. But in the education process for soon-to-be teachers, they learn about different mental disabilities and how to support the students with different mental disabilities. But while the vast majority of education systems implement a system for other mental disabilities, teachers are often unequipped to help students with trauma because they aren't shown trauma-informed practices, or how we might refer to it, TIPs. Outlined by Emily Brown and Sage Journals, teachers face barriers to implementing trauma-informed practices, including high levels of stress and lack of preparation. But with proper training brings desired outcomes. The issue lies in what steps should be taken to prepare the teachers. Implementing any method comes with its own challenges. Described by Frontier Psychology, teachers were at risk of being re-traumatized by training focused on their specific experiences. Therefore, training in trauma-informed practices needs to be carefully tailored to each group with easy option for withdrawal from specific sections. To get around these challenges and many others, while still providing adequate training, each panelist here will describe the steps they think would be best to implement into our school system. We'll start here with Lily.
So I think that the first step in building relationships and with the trauma-induced responses is having the teacher or that trusted adult build a connection with the children that are in their classroom. And this idea comes from the article Trauma-Informed Strategies by Jessica Minahan, and she's a behavioral analyst. And what she talks about is how interactions between teachers and students are really, really valuable, and it helps these students feel like they're in a more secure environment and that school is a safe place for them to be. And as they continue to have these interactions with their teachers, their behavior improves because they know that they're safe there, this is a place that they're comfortable, and that they can go to their teacher with any issues they might be having, anything that's going on in their lives, and they feel safe there. This is something that's also mentioned in the article Best Practices for Trauma-Informed Instruction from Hanover Research. And what they focus on specifically is that step teachers can take is to focus on what helps that student feel better in a situation. If they're angry or sad or they're disrupting class, what can that specific teacher do to help their student? If it's have them go get a drink of water or give them time alone or talk to them about something that they care about and one of their interests, just help them calm down a little bit and settle. And that is why I think that the first step in having trauma-informed practices for teachers is to build that connection between teachers and students.
So it's like a one-on-one sort of.
Yeah.
All right. So Chelsea.
Yeah, I think the first step that schools should really take is partnering with an organization like Research for Action. According to their website, they specialize in researching and then implementing educational changes. And what this really looks like is they take data and analytics from the schools they're working with, and then they create a customized step-by-step plan for the school to follow and to implement educational changes like promoting trauma-informed teaching. And a great example or success story of this happening happened in Buffalo, New York. This was written about in a University of Buffalo article. But the Kenmore Tonawanda School District, they partnered with the Institute on Trauma and Trauma-Informed Care. And this is sort of a similar organization to Research for Action. And with the guidance of ITTIC and their expertise, the school was able to promote trauma-informed practices. So staff first learned about what trauma was and what it looked like in their classroom. And then later on, they learned different techniques like brain breaks, naming feelings, and mindful minutes. And without the help of ITTIC, this really wouldn't be possible. According to the director of school culture, I don't think this all could have happened without bringing ITTIC on, but I do believe we're in a very good place to build on momentum. I think it can be quite intimidating for schools to implement big educational changes like trauma-informed practices. And a great way to get started is partnering with an organization like Research for Action or ITTIC, because schools know that they're taking the right steps in the right direction to promoting trauma-informed practices.
So they sending teachers off to a college or institute that has knowledge in those trauma-informed practices?
Usually the organization would come to the school.
Savannah?
Awesome. Well, I think one of the most important steps in promoting trauma-informed practices is to actually take a more holistic approach that involves the whole community that the school is in.
professional development that seem to make it more effective than others. Some of these characteristics include professional development being content focused, involving active learning styles, using models and modeling, utilizing cooperation between teachers, providing individual coaching, offering feedback, and then most importantly, having a long probation. So the organization really put an emphasis on professional development, and the longer the professional development is, the more effective it will be. So part of my solution would be to have either a month to a full school year long professional development workshop where teachers will periodically check in and learn on how to use some trauma-informed practices. And the National Educators Association actually has a list of really useful TIPs or trauma-informed practices, and these include avoiding triggers, teaching with compassion, creating a safe space for students, using growth mindsets, and using restorative practices with their students, and then building relationships with students, which I think you two both touched on here. So overall, my solution would be to have professional development for teachers that can help build up their trauma-informed practices.
The main focus on that was just long duration.
Yeah.
Well, they're all very good points, and I think now we can move on to the discussion section and get ourselves an answer. So, first off, I'd like to say that a few similarities here that I think we can also make off the list of things we should include are building a relationship with the student. The teacher individually not seeks out, but it develops an individualized relationship with that student, and that's something that many of you have said, so I feel like that would be an important point to write down and include in our steps.
Is that, yeah, because I agree with that, because that's something I mentioned, Vanessa mentioned, and Savannah mentioned it too, with you kind of had it a different way with the teachers and the parents, it's
Yeah.
like a one-on-one, but I think that also works too, so I think that is something we can all kind of agree on, is something to do at some point.
Yeah.
One of the best ways to do that is to be like doing activities together, like funny things, like go to the park or do something different, but like talk more about other things at school so they can have like stronger relationship. That's a good.
I think there can almost be like two parts. There could be like the relationship building part, and then there's more of the training part. Because I think both Kendon and I have a very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I will say, I think the best way to teach teachers on how they can better build relationships with students would be through some form of professional development. Because we can't just like expect them to learn about how they're going to build relationships with students. So I think that would be integral, in my opinion.
So they need that push to get started.
Yeah.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So would we say like bringing someone into the school would be a good sort of option, like a
It could be with a collaboration, like you mentioned, it could be with someone.
Yeah, I like the idea of combining the research aspect with the professional development. Because I feel like that would be a pretty effective treatment to have the research facts. Yeah.
Like have a speaker come in almost.
I think more of like like a speaker coming in and just like working with teachers.
Okay, yeah.
Almost like teachers are being taught.
Taking questions and like, yeah.
So I guess, just as an idea, it could be maybe in the first month of school, like there's parent-teacher conferences, they could add on a day and then they talk about that, and then coming into that next part of the year, that's like, okay, let's do this. Maybe kind of know what.
I would almost think it's like once a month, we have like a half day of school, or even like teachers wouldn't want to come in on a weekend, but like if needed for educational reasons, do that, and have like someone come in from the organization and provide teaching methods for teachers on how they can better relationships.
And also, as you mentioned, they can bring like the family and family members so they can be like informed about it and the kid will feel like more support.
Yeah.
I think I almost see like the steps being first the teachers learn about it, and then they really integrate it into the community and build those relationships.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts?
I
instructing teachers on how to build a safer environment within schools for students to get away from any online problems that they have.
Are we talking more about like the social environment or like the physical environment?
I think both.
Okay.
Like there are techniques for both.
Maybe you don't feel comfortable talking about like the personal life with the teachers. It could also be like a psychologist or someone that they can trust, and it could be like a safe place for them. And if they don't want the teachers to know, but they can talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's important is like the training aspect and the relationship aspect. I think are like it would be hard for it to be very effective with having the two things on their own. But like when you combine all of those together, I think that's where you can really start making like a big difference. Yeah.
Then, in that case, I have about 4 here, if you want to add on to it. The first one would be like collaborate with the professional development, back to research. So this is a speaker coming in routinely every month or twice a month for a longer duration. The second one would be building relationships with students in the community. And then the third would be the individualized parent-teacher conference style learning. So I was thinking we could do this like after school as well, because I know a lot of students already take sort of after school to work with teachers. So this would be a good time. And then overall, that would create a safer space in the school as a whole.
That's a good line, good number of steps.
Well, I think that about wraps up our trauma-informed practices. And hopefully we can get this sort of thing implemented into the near future. And hopefully you've learned a lot about trauma-informed practices, especially if you're going into